You love watching them light up. You'll skip sleep, swallow doubt, rearrange your day just to keep that glow in their eyes. You answer fast. You remember details no one else notices. You say, "It's okay," even when your chest feels heavy. Loving them feels like oxygen. Loving you feels optional. You learn the choreography. Ask, listen, soothe. You pour coffee, hold space, carry storms that aren't yours. You apologize first. You forgive twice. You make it easy for people to stay, even when staying costs you. And when the room finally empties, the quiet sounds like an echo you can't turn off. You tell yourself it's not a problem. This is just who I am. But deep down you know the exchange rate is wrong. Their comfort grows while your borders blur. You promise you'll rest tomorrow, you'll speak up next time, you'll say no, then you don't, because their need arrives before your sentence does. You weren't born doing this. You practiced it until it looked natural. You became the reliable one, the soft landing, the message that always says, "I'm here." People love you for your light and miss the fact that you keep burning the wick from both ends. On the good days, giving feels holy. On the hard ones, it feels like disappearing politely. You don't ask for much, a little effort back, a little space to be messy, a little permission to be the one who needs. But the words snag in your throat. You worry that asking will bend the magic. So you keep pouring, smile tidy, pulse steady, hoping someone will notice the cost without you labeling it. Here's the quiet truth you rarely say aloud. You don't want to love less. You want to stop vanishing while you love. You made love your purpose and forgot to make yourself part of it. You keep saying you're fine, and maybe you are just not in the way people think. Your version of fine means functioning, showing up. It means keeping the world together while your own corners quietly come undone. You carry other people's moods like fragile glass. You sense tension before it's spoken, guilt before it's thrown. When someone you love is hurting, you feel it in your bones. And somehow, fixing it becomes your full-time job. You call it love, but sometimes it's survival. You've learned that peace only lasts if everyone else is happy. So you make it your mission to keep the balance, even when it costs you the calm you're trying to protect. You think you're choosing kindness, but often you're choosing safety. You say yes to things that drain you, because the silence that follows no feels heavier than exhaustion. You comfort others, but when it's your turn, you don't know what to say. You crave deep love, yet you attract the kind that takes without noticing. Not because you're weak, but because you confuse comfort with purpose. If someone needs you, you feel worthy. If they stop, you feel invisible. You've built your identity on being the strong one, the understanding one, the one who can take it. But strength has limits, and even light burns out if no one shields it. Some nights you lie there, drained but restless, wondering why the love that's supposed to fill you keeps leaving you hollow. You whisper to yourself that it's okay, that this is what love means. But love isn't meant to be a slow self-erosion. You've been everyone's safe place, but no one taught you how to be yours. And maybe that's why you're tired in a way sleep can't fix. You've always believed that loving deeply is a gift. That being the one who stays, the one who listens, the one who feels is strength. And it is. But somewhere along the way, that strength started to ache. You love until there's nothing left to hold on to. You give until you confuse effort with intimacy. You chase emotional closeness like oxygen and call the breathlessness devotion. You keep hoping that one day someone will notice the quiet ways you love, how you remember the small things, how you forgive before being asked, how you'd rather lose a fight than lose a person. So now, you work for love. You try to prove your worth through presence. You measure your value by how useful you are, and mistake gratitude for genuine care. You attract those who take comfort in your calm, who borrow your empathy to fill their silence. And when they leave, you think it's because you weren't enough, not because you gave too much. You've turned love into a constant audition. Every smile, every gesture, every sacrifice says, "See, I'm still good, still worthy, still here." But beneath that grace is a quiet exhaustion, the kind that comes from being both caretaker and proof of your own value. You fear being too much, so you shrink your needs until they fit in someone else's comfort zone. You tell yourself it's noble, that love requires compromise. But compromise without reciprocity becomes disappearance. You've mistaken intensity for connection. You've called it loyalty, patience, soul bonding. But sometimes it's anxiety wearing the mask of devotion. You're not broken for wanting to be loved back. You're human. But your love shouldn't require you to disappear to keep someone close. At first, you thought love was a feeling. Then it became a duty. And somewhere in between, it became you. You don't just love, you become the person you love. Their happiness becomes your compass. Their silence, your storm. Their approval, your reflection. You adapt without being asked. You shift your tone, your choices, your pace. You learn what to say, what not to say, what version of you they like best. And then you stay there, trapped inside that version, smiling like it doesn't hurt. You confuse harmony with closeness. You think, if I can just be perfect, if I can stay easy to love, they won't leave. So you build yourself around their comfort, even when it means cutting away pieces that once made you whole. You forget what you wanted before them. Your hobbies fade. Your laughter changes pitch. You call it growth, but deep down, it feels more like vanishing. You start to mistake being needed for being loved. Because when people rely on you, at least you're not replaceable. Dependence becomes proof. Your usefulness becomes your tether to existence. You can sense the imbalance. Some nights you whisper to yourself, "Who would I be if I stopped trying so hard?" But the answer scares you. Because if you're not the one who loves the most, who are you? And that's how love quietly becomes identity. Not through intention, but through repetition. Through all the times you gave until you forgot to ask what you wanted in return. You don't mean to disappear. You just got used to being the supporting character in everyone else's story. And you've worn that role so long, it started to fit. You keep trying to earn a kind of love that was never supposed to be conditional, forgetting that the first person who should choose you is you. There comes a point when even kindness starts to ache. You wake up tired, not from lack of sleep, but from carrying emotions that aren't yours. You start counting the things you give up quietly: time, energy, peace. It's not dramatic, it's slow, like erosion. You don't notice it at first, the heaviness that settles between the ribs. You tell yourself, "I just need a break." But breaks don't fix patterns. They only pause them. You start pulling away, not out of anger, but from depletion. You used to text first. Now you stare at your screen and wait. You used to smile out of instinct. Now you remind yourself to. It's not that you stopped caring. It's that caring started costing too much. You begin to notice how often you say yes while meaning maybe later, and how often later never comes. You start giving less, but feel guilty for it, as if loving yourself means betraying someone else. You don't resent the people you love, you resent the imbalance. You resent the way your own needs feel like interruptions in the middle of someone else's story. And so, you hide your exhaustion behind kindness, because you're afraid the truth will make you look ungrateful. There's a quiet grief in this kind of love. Grieving the version of you who thought giving endlessly would keep you safe. But love that never rests breaks. And when it breaks, it doesn't shatter loudly. It simply stops showing up with the same light. You start craving peace more than connection. Solitude stops feeling lonely and starts feeling necessary. You find yourself doing less for others, and for once, not apologizing for it. It's not selfishness. It's self-preservation, because love should lift, not drain, and even the most generous heart deserves to rest before it breaks. The truth is, you didn't fall out of love. You just ran out of yourself. It happens quietly, no thunder, no dramatic ending, just a pause. A stillness you can't ignore. You look in the mirror one morning and realize you've spent years memorizing someone else's reflection while forgetting your own. You see the person who always held space for others, who softened every argument, who built entire worlds out of love that wasn't returned in full. And suddenly, it hits you. You were never asking for too much. You were just asking in the wrong direction. You've been waiting for someone to give back what you've always given away. But no one can love you the way you were meant to, because no one else knows what it costs you to keep loving through the cracks. There's a strange kind of silence in this realization. Not sadness, not relief, just truth. The kind that doesn't need to be said aloud because it already lives in your bones. You start noticing small things. How your hands shake less when you say no. How your breath steadies when you stop apologizing for your needs. How peace starts showing up where guilt used to live. You're not healing by becoming someone new. You're healing by coming back to the person you were before you learned that love had to hurt. You finally understand. You weren't put here to fix others. You were meant to grow with them, not disappear inside them. That's the moment everything shifts. Not with fireworks, but with quiet recognition. You are no longer chasing love. You are returning to it. The kind that starts within and never needs permission to stay. You start to see love differently now. Not as something you prove, but something you protect. Not as endless giving, but as gentle balance. Love stops being a battlefield and becomes a garden. It doesn't demand you to bleed just to bloom. It asks you to water yourself too. You begin to realize that love isn't about sacrifice, it's about space. Space for two people to grow without one shrinking. Space to rest, to breathe, to exist without performing worthiness. For so long, you thought real love meant endurance. You wore patience like armor, believing pain was part of the price. But love, real love, isn't measured by how much you can lose. It's measured by how much of you remains after giving. You start building boundaries, and for the first time, they don't feel like walls. They feel like windows clear, open, letting only light that doesn't burn. You no longer confuse quiet with peace, or chaos with passion. You understand that stability can be sacred too. The world taught you that love was about holding on, but maybe love is also knowing when to let go, not out of indifference, but out of respect for your own becoming. You stop chasing people who make you question your worth. You start keeping the ones who remind you of it. You learn that solitude isn't punishment, it's clarity. And you begin to see that love doesn't always arrive as another person. Sometimes it arrives as stillness. As a morning where you wake up and realize you're not waiting for anyone anymore. You look back at the way you used to love, the way you poured yourself out until you were hollow. And instead of shame, you feel gratitude. Because even though it hurt, it taught you what real love isn't. It taught you what you deserve. You realize now that loving others isn't wrong. You just forgot to include yourself in the equation. And that's what redefining love really means. To give without losing, to care without breaking, to stay soft without disappearing. Love doesn't have to be grand. Sometimes it's just choosing peace over chaos, truth over illusion, and self-respect over longing. You stop searching for love in the places that left you empty. You stop chasing the kind of people who need your light to see themselves. For the first time, you turn that light inward and realize it's been waiting for you all along. It's strange at first, loving yourself. You're used to pouring outward, used to silence after giving, used to mistaking emptiness for peace. But this time, love feels quieter, softer. Not fireworks, not intensity, just warmth that stays. You start keeping promises to yourself. Small ones at first, drinking water, resting early, saying no without apology. Then bigger ones, leaving when love becomes survival, staying when solitude becomes growth. You notice how good it feels to take up space, how beautiful it is to belong to yourself again. You stop asking if you're too much. You start wondering why you ever thought you were too little. You stop waiting for people to meet you halfway and begin meeting yourself fully. Your heart, once tired from giving without return, starts beating in rhythm with your own life again. You laugh without guilt. You rest without justification. You love not as a currency, but as a language you finally speak fluently. You look back and see every version of you that tried, that overgave, that stayed too long. And instead of anger, you feel tenderness, because they were all trying to love in the only way they knew how. You whisper to them, "Thank you for surviving until I could learn to live." You realize healing isn't about closing off your heart. It's about expanding it, so it includes you. Love stops being something you chase and becomes something you carry. You no longer need someone else to complete the sentence. You've become the ending and the beginning. And when someone new comes along, you won't love them from emptiness. You'll love them from overflow. From understanding, not from fear. From choice, not from need. You'll know that love is not about losing yourself in someone else's light, but about standing beside them, both of you shining, neither of you dimming. And on quiet nights, when you sit alone, you'll realize you're not lonely anymore. You're home, because for the first time, you didn't just love someone else, you loved you.